We're going to talk about making tassels today. So what you're going to do is you're going to count the number of warp strings that you have. If we're using the cardboard loom that we had from class, there's 52 warp strings. And what I want you to do is you're going to be creating tassels on every 2 warp strings, which means you have 26 pairs of warp strings. See how these are wrapped around 2 strings. I've made 2 strings for each pair. So in this case, what I'm going to ask you to do is cut 52 strings to turn into tassels. That way each pair of strings gets a pair of tassel strings. To cut these, you want them all to be relatively the same length. The way that I do that is by grabbing a small hard-covered book. In this case, I chose one that's about 5 inches across. And I like a hard-covered book because it makes it easier to cut through the strings. So I'm going to put the end of my string at the opening of my book, and I'm going to wrap it all the way around my book. And then I'll wrap it around again. So this would be 1 loop right now. This makes 2 loops, and you'll do that 52 times. Once you've wrapped around 52 times, you're going to cut your string from the ball of yarn, and then you're going to slide your scissors in along the pages, and see how easy it is to get that in between the book and the pages. And we'll cut like that. So I've just made 2 warp strings. Sorry about my baby noises in the background. I just have 2 tassel strings here, and we would start at the edge of your loom doing 2 right here and then 2 right here. I just think it's easier for you to see what I'm doing if I move in towards the middle. So we're going to work at the middle right now. I'm going to take 2 tassel strings and I'm going to find the center of them. So I'm going to fold them in half, and I'm going to take the center of them and lay that perpendicularly across 2 warp strings. And that, so there's the middle of my tassels right there. And I'm going to wrap it around and under like this. And then I'm going to take the other side and wrap it around and under. See how these are still staying stacked? They haven't twisted on each other. Make sure those stay stacked like that. And then I'll take all of the 4 ends of my tassels and kind of bring them together. And if it's not pulling evenly, then I might kind of adjust like that, and then we'll pull down. So this is what I was talking about. See how it's twisted? I'm going to untwist those so that they lay evenly on top of one another. It gives me kind of a cleaner tassel top. Where's that string? There it is. Like that. Push that down. And I'm not pulling very tight. If I pulled down really tight, it would kind of cinch my warp strings together. So I'm going to try to simulate that here. See how that pulls those really tight? We don't want that. We want them to stay nice and loose. So I'm going to open that up like that. I've got more tassel strings that I've pre-cut, so I'm going to do another one here for this demo. So again, I'm going to find the middle of my tassel strings, take the middle and lay that perpendicular to my warp strings. Take this one side and loop it under and through. Go to the other side, loop it under and through. Bring the ends of my strings together and slide this down. And that's it. You just do that the whole way across, and then what goes on top of your tassels is another couple of rows, like 2 rows of plain weave. So we've got plain weave underneath, 4 rows of plain weave, a row of tassels, and then 2 rows of plain weave. And then you can do whatever you want on top of that.